How's it going, everybody? Thank you for checking out my channel and welcome to today's video. Today's going to be a little bit more of a deep dive into why you would particularly want to have some ethereal items over having their non-ethereal counterparts. And this is inspired by the comment shout out for this video, which were a couple of comments that some people were questioning what type of bases to use for certain rune words. And the last two, because there's three of them, the last two actually are kind of intertwined in a way that they go over the exact same problem, with the first person questioning if they should do it and the second person actually rolling the rune word in a very non-ideal base. And just for a general idea of privacy, I'm going to take their names, profile pictures, and where the comment came from out of the video just to keep them anonymous, because I don't condone any bullying by any means. I know that the people that watch me are really good about making sure that we all are respectful of one another and that we all have a chance to be able to learn if we do make a mistake. And as you'll see with the last comment, unfortunately, they did roll, again, a very good rune word in a very non-ideal base. And it hopefully is going to turn into a learning opportunity for them to do better and to hopefully have even better luck with RNG rolling the rune word in the future. The first one talks about rolling the rune word death in either an Eth Eaton axe or Berserker axe. In my case, I rolled death in an Eth Berserker axe because it deals the highest damage of any one-hand weapon in the game. And to be able to put it in an Eth version gives the potential for even more damage, as I'll go over later in this video. Now, the second and third comment actually do go hand in hand because it goes over the same idea, but the first of the two asks that they should put death in a crystal sword, and the second of the two talks about actually rolling the rune word death in a crystal sword. And despite having quite a good ED roll, they are not able to kill anything, and they were wondering if the rune word itself is bugged. Unfortunately, no, it's not bugged, but here's what the issue is with it. The fact that it was the base that you chose with the crystal sword, it doesn't have a really good base damage to begin with, and to be able to give it 300 plus enhanced damage on top of that doesn't make the damage high enough to be able to actually kill anything, especially in Hell, where the health pools of all the monsters are going to be a lot higher compared to their normal or nightmare counterparts. And that's the problem when it comes to bases, is it's really crucial to find the right ideal base to be able to roll these rune words in. And that's what I'm going to be exploring in this video, is going over why you'd want to choose an Eth version of a base versus a non-Eth, depending on the rune word and the unique that you have in front of you, and to be able to give you guys a good idea as to what the benefits are going to be, especially with the one drawback that they have, which is durability. But with all that said, let's get into the video.
Not even death can save you from me.
Greetings, mortal. I knew you would find your way back here.
As you can see on the screen, I did collect a few different items, and I wanted to give you a good comparison side by side of the Eth and non-Eth versions, so that way you guys get a good look as to the differences in the requirements, the damage for the weapons, and the defense for the armors. Now, the main durability issue that we all know for ethereal items is that they have half of the non-Eth version's durability +1, which means especially for melee characters getting attacked and being at the center of the fights, their durability, if they were to use an ethereal item, will go down to 0 very quickly, and as soon as it hits 0, no longer can be used, it is completely bricked. Now, with that said, why would you want to choose an ethereal item versus a non-Eth one? The idea is to understand when it comes to Indestructible mods, the repairs mods, or replenishes mod, you would definitely want to use an ethereal item because you would be getting such a benefit over the non-Eth one. What does that mean? For ethereal items, they always come with a 50% bonus to either the defense or to the actual damage of the weapon, and that comes with just being ethereal. And if you were to use the Horadric cube recipe to put sockets into those weapons, for example, we have here the Superior Berserker Axe and the Berserker Axe. Looking at the requirements, you could see that the dexterity and the strength are going to be 10 more on the regular Berserker Axe compared to the ethereal version. And also the damage, being that this is a superior Berserker Axe with 9% enhanced damage, is still going to be less than the ethereal version. If you were to use this in the Horadric cube to be able to put sockets into it, you would get an additional 50% bonus to the damage on top of that, which is why I particularly wanted to use death in an Eth Berserker Axe to maximize the potential for the rune word. And I am very lucky that I found this with no sockets in it, and I was able to add damage to it on top of it being ethereal already. And as you can see here on the armors, looking at this Wormhide, you have 382 for the defense with the required strength of 84. Then you would have over here with 10 less for the strength requirement with a lot more defense on it. And especially if you, again, put this in the Horadric cube, add sockets, no matter how many sockets it actually rolls with, being the minimum or the maximum or anything in between, you would still get that additional 50% bonus to the defense, which is why you see so many mercenaries with such high defense, especially for things like fortitude. They are really benefiting from the ability of using an ethereal item. And for example, with prudence, if you were to roll this in an actual ethereal item, you would be able to get the repairs mod, so that way you and your character can use this while also benefiting from all of the things you would want on the Runeword itself. The Runewords that actually roll with the Indestructible mod are Breath of the Dying for weapons, Death for swords and axes, Eternity for melee weapons, and Oath for swords, axes, and maces. And the Runewords that have the repairs mod are Exile for paladin shields, and Prudence for body armor. Now that we've discussed the bonuses for the damage when it comes to weapons and the defense for the armors, the next thing to keep in mind are the requirements differences between the ethereal and the non-eth versions. The main thing people would want to use, for example, when it comes to pre-buffing your character and having them be in ethereal items versus non-eth, is the ability to have a lot of the requirements for all your items be within the same range of one another, so that way you don't have additional hard points into your attributes that would be unnecessary otherwise. What I mean by this is, especially for the paladin, they have the easiest way to be able to show it. Looking at these shields, first one being the Superior Acheron Targe with the required strength of 44, the second one being the Crown Shield with the required strength of 55, and the last one being the Kuros Shield with the required strength of 144, all of which are going to have a lower strength requirement than the most commonly seen shield in the game that can hold Spirit, which is going to be the Monarch. Now, looking at the ethereal version, it's going to have 10 less than the non-eth one. So for example, if you were a paladin and you did not have any other paladin shield to be able to use, and you have an ethereal version of a monarch, you could then potentially put spirit in this monarch, so that way you would have 10 less points being put into strength on the switch, so that way you can hold the shield and put the rest of the points either into dexterity for a max block setup, or to dump the rest into vitality. And a lot of people you will see will actually use buffing types of runewords such as a CTA and spirit. They will try to put it in an ethereal version because casting is not going to affect the durability whatsoever. It's only when you're actually hit, and that's only for body armors. Now this last example on the page is going to be pretty much going over what I talked about when it came to the comment section, and that's going to be a crystal sword and a phase blade. The crystal sword can actually roll ethereal, however phase blade can't because it doesn't have any durability to wear down, so it's technically indestructible. So crystal sword's one-hand damage is 5 to 15, whereas the phase blade is going to have 31 to 35. However, looking at the requirements, there's no level requirement, but a required strength of 43. The phase blade has a level requirement of 54, with a huge dexterity requirement of 136, but a lower strength requirement than the crystal sword of 25 compared again to the 43. Now the reason I feel that they actually rolled it in a crystal sword over phase blade is because without actually looking at them and having an icon over them, you're not going to be able to tell which is which. And I believe that maybe just seeing a bunch of people using grief and seeing the look of it being a crystal sword and a phase blade without being able to tell them apart, they simply just chose a crystal sword and rolled with it. To finish off this page, this is going to highlight why it's really important to make sure that you have the most ideal base for certain types of endgame runewords, because you want to make sure that it aligns with the type of character build that you're using, especially when it comes to distributing the hard points for the character and making sure that you have everything set the way you want it. Now, this first one is Grief, which is the one I rolled a long time ago. It's a perfect Grief, and we're going to be simply just focusing on the damage and the requirements of it. So this one has a damage of 31 to 35 without the damage increase for 400 underneath, with the required strength of 25 and the dexterity of 136. We have here another perfect Grief, and it's in a Berserker Axe. Now, looking at the requirements, we have the dexterity of 59 and the strength of 138 with the one-hand damage of 24 to 71. So looking at this, the damage is going to be a lot higher on the Berserker Axe. However, looking at the speed, even though they both say very fast attack speed, the phase blade is going to be going a lot faster than the Berserker Axe. That's just simply how it is when it comes to the bases. And the reason I want to make sure to stress you want to find the right type of base for your build is because obviously gearing your character to have certain types of items, you can make your IAS go even higher, so that way it offsets the slower attack speed on the Berserker Axe. However, looking at the dexterity and the strength differences, for people that are going to be doing 156 to strength to be able to hold the Monarch and then everything else that you'd have for your build, this is going to be on paper, just on paper, looking at the requirements, a lot better for that type of build, because you already have the strength requirement being 138 to fit in the 156. However, you're going to have only just a little bit of dexterity points put towards being able to actually use this weapon, comparatively speaking to this phase blade that has the required strength of 25, so very little strength needed, but you're going to have additionally 136 points into dexterity, which is going to help your attack rating, so it's still a bonus, but you're going to have so many more hard points put into your dexterity that otherwise would be able to put towards your vitality. I just wanted to give you guys an example as to looking at the requirements, why you want to choose the right type of base, even though it is not ethereal. Just in general, find the right type of base for the certain rune words that you're going to be rolling. Uniques are able to roll with the Indestructible and the Repairs mod as well. We're going to focus on the Repairs mod first. This first example are Sandstorm Treks, which have the ability to repair themselves once every 20 seconds, which is great for the ethereal version because even if they get down to 0, they're able to be repaired, such as going to Larzik, or just by wearing them and giving them time to be able to get their durability back up. The same type of idea, unfortunately, can't be said for the ethereal version because even though it has a repairs mod on it, if it gets down to 0 durability, it's going to be bricked because it is still an ethereal item, which is why it's really important to choose carefully the type of base that you would want to use for your character, depending on if it is a melee character, a caster character, or just the simple area that you're at and being swarmed. It is really important to make sure that you don't have such sought after items like this become bricked by simply just not understanding how the durability on something with a repairs mod would be able to work. We have a couple of other examples for repairs mod uniques, such as Ginther's Rift, Hoon Sundan, and Skin of the Flayed One. For uniques with the Indestructible mod, they don't have the ability to roll both ethereal and non-ethereal, so however you find them is how they are in the game no matter what. So there are 3 items in the game that are going to be able to roll ethereal with the Indestructible mod, and I have 2 of them right here, the first one being Ethereal Edge, and the second one being Shadow Killer. The third one is Ghost Flame. Those are the only 3 items in the game that are going to be able to roll with the Indestructible mod and be ethereal. The rest of them are all going to be non-eth, such as the 2 here I have are Storm Shield and Wizard Spike. Now sets can roll Indestructible as well. However, no set item is going to be able to roll ethereal. So you have, for example, here Alder's Advance and Sazabe's Cobalt Redeemer. Those are indestructible items, but they're never going to roll as ethereal. The last thing I'm going to go over before going to the Replenishes mod are going to be caster weapons. Casting anything at all is not going to use any durability. It's simply if you attack for the base damage of the weapon itself. For example, here I have an ethereal and non-ethereal Suicide Branch. Now, looking at the damages, they're still both pretty low, even with the ethereal one being 50% more than the non-eth one. However, if you're simply using this on, for example, a teleporting barbarian to be able to get around or to cast battle orders, or whatever it is that you're using on any character, if you're using it just for the skills and all the stats that come on the item itself and not for damage, you're not going to be using any durability. Even if you get hit while using this weapon, it's not armor. It doesn't have defense, so you're not going to be using any durability when getting hit. It's only if you actually attack for the base damage of the weapon itself, which is why it's, again, really important to choose the right type of base if you're rolling, for example, the Runeword Grief or Death, because you want to make sure to utilize the enhanced damage with a high one-hand damage for any one of the one-hand weapons, or just any high damage for any weapon at all. You want to make sure to choose the right type of base for those types of runewords, and for something like this, if you're simply using it for the casting aspect of it, you're not going to use any durability, so you don't have to worry about having an ethereal item to be able to use for teleporting around or casting any spells. Last thing we're going to discuss is Replenishes mod, and why you definitely want to find the ethereal version over the non-eth one. Now when it comes to durability, we obviously know that the durability is going to be an issue for ethereal weapons. Replenishes is not going to be the same thing. Even if it gets down to 0 for Replenishes, if it has a Replenish mod, it's going to be able to go back up on ethereal items, which is why you want to find the eth versions. So we have here a few different items to go over. We have the Lacerator, Demon's Arc, the Scalper, Deathbit, and Gargoyle's Bite, with the very last one to mention being Titan's Revenge. This is an item that so many people are trying to find as ethereal because, looking at the example, a low roll, even the lowest roll for eth Titan's Revenge is going to be better damage, comparatively speaking, to the best roll of the non-eth one. And you're also still going to get the same added benefits when it comes to the requirements of the ethereal item versus the non-eth one. Despite how rare these items are, this is why it makes them so good to use, because you get all the benefits of the ethereal aspect of the item. However, with the Replenishes mod, you still get to be able to use the item and it will never brick. So that's why, again, you want to make sure to choose the right type of base if you have the ability to do so when it comes to unique weapons and armors. But when it comes to runewords, it's especially important to make sure to choose the right type of base so that way you utilize the stats that come with the Runewords itself, especially if it has an Indestructible and a Repairs mod to be able to make you have either more damage for the weapon or more defense for the armors. And that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're able to learn something new about the type of bases you want to choose for certain types of Runewords and unique items in the game, comparatively speaking to the Eth and non-Eth counterparts. If you like this kind of content and want to see more, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever a new video comes out. And if you like this video, let me know by leaving a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe and take care.